any of those things until I was consistently making profit and knew that I was gonna, um, be around for the long haul. All right, let's see. Very good suggestion for the charger. Had that happen to me a few times. Girl, it's such a newbie mistake, and I say that in my last show, no, 2 shows ago, my phone died. It was because I was in here selling, and I unplugged my phone charger to plug in my laptop charger because I didn't have 2 plugs, and I completely forgot. So it happens to all of us. How do you reimburse mods for helping you? So that's a good question. So it's actually against terms of service to monetarily pay your moderators if they don't work for you outside of Whatnot. There was a point in time where one of my moderators worked for me outside of the app, and so I paid her to do what she did outside of the app, but then it would also compensate her for, thank you for the raid. Who was that? Bougie B, hey baby. Hope you had a great show. Not fabric people, we are going to do a pop-up after this new seller help live, okay? So you guys, I don't have the show made, but you guys come back and see me in a little while. I hope you had a great show. What was I saying? Oh, so I was able to compensate that moderator that way. But as far as a lot of people, it's up to the seller. Some moderators are satisfied and they have a relationship with their sellers where there is no payment. They're happy with the exposure that they get with just the sellers shouting them out and things like that. I personally think that that's just not quite enough to pay somebody to dedicate their time to you and your shows. So like, if one of my moderators sees something that they want in one of my streams, I'll just give it to them instead of running the auction sometimes. Or, when they win a giveaway, I'll throw a $25 gift card, in their package. I have 3 moderators, and I think you could ask all 3 of them, and they would say that they feel appreciated. I feel like I do a good job at that, but it's just different things that gives them stuff that they want or makes them feel like their time is valued, because moderators really can make and or break your success, okay? For sure. Mods are awesome, as long as they're chosen carefully. A question about Givey shipping. Yeah, hang on just a second, because there was another shipping question, I think. Do you go through a certain company to get your fabric? No. Wonderful show. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I'm so glad you had a good show. All right, let me see. Best investment, yes it is. Printer type. How do you reimburse? Oh, I just answered that. Okay, so how does Whatnot know how to calculate the shipping? So, Whatnot has negotiated bulk shipping rates with USPS and UPS, mainly USPS. And so they have their own prices that they charge, or that they're charged, right? That Whatnot can generate USPS labels globally cheaper than any other platform out there. You always hear people that are complaining about, being overcharged for shipping on this app, or this or this or this, and that just means that they are not doing it right, because this is the cheapest place to ship a package in the world. It's right here on this app. You just have to make it work for you. Whatnot has given you a platform and a very vague set of guidelines that you can then curate to format your business model to work best for you. People want Whatnot to be so much more specific with the shipping guidelines and stuff, which might eliminate some confusion for some people, but it's going to also put everybody in this tiny box to where it doesn't work for, there's no specific shipping settings that will work for every single person. So they leave it wide and vague, and then you get to curate it to what works best for your business. So basically, Whatnot doesn't determine how much they charge the buyer. Their negotiated rates do. What it is your job as a seller is, okay, there's 2 different places that you have to enter information. This is important, okay? And I am ADHD as hell, and I get squirrel brained, and it's hard to follow me sometimes, so lock in. We're gonna try to do this together, okay?
there's two different places that you put in shipping information in order to successfully create a show that once you're done, all right, all of the shipping has already been charged to whoever you have set it up to be charged to. So let's just use, for the sake of this, we're going to say that we set it up for free shipping. So all the shipping is being charged to me, the seller. But ideally, when you hit in stream and the show is over, you don't want to have to pay any shipping on the back end when you go to package your orders and edit any labels, generate any labels. You want all that to be paid on the front end. And the way that you successfully do that is in two different places, okay? So in your profile on Whatnot, there's a shipping settings. There's a shipping settings category. This is where you'll find the green toggle button where you toggle on the option for a regular envelope where you can be charged for, or you can use the regular envelope option, and that's, we'll circle back around to that for about giveaways in a minute, okay? After, underneath that, it asks you what you want Whatnot to use, or what kind of label you want Whatnot to generate for packages that are between 1 and 5 pounds, okay? And you have 3 options. Inside of there. I know you have 2 options. It's either flat rate or priority flat rate, or priority. Those are your 2 options. Priority mail or flat rate priority. And then it asks you what you want Whatnot to do with orders that are more than 5 pounds. And you have 3 options under that one. It's priority mail, flat rate priority mail, or ground advantage. Okay, so that's one area. And the way that you set that up, hang on, we'll just go ahead and hit this while we're there. See what I mean by Pearl? Hang on. Let me get a piece of paper. So everything that I do, we set it up for, this is set up so you can run max 921 shipping and very rarely ever come out of pocket, okay? So you want to toggle the plain white envelope on. And then the 1 to 5 pounds.
Okay, well, she's not getting an audience.
Okay, sorry, I can't talk in right. The 1 to 5 pounds, you want it set to regular priority mail, and then you want the over priority flat rate. You want over 5 pounds to be set to priority flat rate, okay? So plain envelope, you toggle it on. 1 to 5 pounds, set it to priority mail, and over 5 pounds, set it to priority flat rate, okay? This is how you set it up if you're gonna do max 921 shipping. Now, once you close out of that, Whatnot is going to use those settings in every show that you schedule after that, okay? So, yeah. So this is like your default settings now, okay? Once you close out of this screen, I believe underneath that it asks you how you want to charge the shipping for each show, and it's going to be seller pays all cost, buyer pays all cost, or buyer pays a set amount. And if we're following my method here, you're going to select buyer pays a set amount and then type in 921 in the box that it gives you there, okay? Yeah, no problem. So then now you can store that away and not think about it anymore, okay? That's half of your shipping settings set up. Now, the other half of the battle is, now we've told Whatnot what we want them to create a label for based on how much a package weighs, right? Okay, well now we have to tell them what items we're putting into that package and how much each of them weighs, all right? So we're trying to get these packages, we want them to be as close to the correct weight and Whatnot to have all the information right so that it charges the sellers and the buyers, whoever you have paying for the shipping for the show, before the show ends, because anything that is charged for shipping after the show ends is on the buyer 100% of the time. You do have 5 freebies, but the adjustments, but still it falls on the buyer, okay? So, I mean, the seller. Did I say buyer? I'm sorry, I probably confused y'all by saying that. I meant seller. Okay, so the second half is your items in your show. This is a strategy that I learned from Corey, and 99% of sellers use this strategy that do 921 shipping. You're going to make a singular item to run every single item under for a show, okay? So, hey, how are you? So here, right here, for example, mine looks like this. This is the item that I run every single thing that I run during one of my streams. I run it under So Happy item. So Whatnot is going to tally those for me as we have auction. So it's going to say So Happy item number 1, So Happy item number 2. And I have this trusty dusty orange paint that I always use, and I number it 1 through 500 or however many items I'm going to sell that show. And those items, that's how they match up with the items sold, and that's how I tell how to pack my orders, right? Well, when you create that item, you have to select the weight for it. And you want to select 8 to 11 ounces, no matter what. You're not going to change that. There are some things that this is kind of loose. This is loosely, okay? Almost always. You're not going to change that weight. You're just going to roll with it. Now, what does that mean? Okay? That means that you're telling Whatnot, when you put one item into their box, it is an 11-ounce package, okay? That is not yet 1 pound, so that's immediately ground advantage. Anything less than a pound is going to go ground advantage unless it's less than 1 ounce and it goes in a regular envelope, okay? But so what that means for you as the seller is any items that were sold during the stream or any orders that are only one item. So let's say this buyer only buys one item. Okay, well then they have paid for an 11-ounce item to get shipped to them. If that item is 4 ounces or that item is 15 ounces, as long as it's less than a pound, they have covered all of their shipping. The buyer has when it's set to max 921, okay? And so you don't come anything out of pocket, and their package is ready to be generated. That's an 11-ounce item, a ground advantage label, and they paid for all their shipping. Cool, right? Okay, now let's talk about when you put a second item into that box. This is where everything changes, okay? The second item puts you over a pound in weight, so that puts us into this category now. We're telling Whatnot that we want our package to be a priority mail package at least, depending on how many items they end up purchasing. But we have crossed over the 1 pound threshold, okay? And that opens up a world of opportunity or different options for you as the seller. Now, 1 to 5 pound priority mail costs the exact same thing across the entire nation as flat rate does, as long as it's between 1 to 5 pounds. Okay, so that means that for this area right here, if it truly weighs 1 to 5 pounds when it's all said and done, right, then you can ship this in priority packaging from the post office or your own packaging, or you can toggle on your flat rate option and ship it in any of the flat rate boxes, and it's all already paid for, just because the person bought 2 items, all right? Second item charges them the rest of that 921. So at that point, you can put the packages in any, or the items that they bought in a variety of packaging, and it's paid for already. You see what I'm saying? Now, there's a couple caveats with this, okay? And after that, I'm sorry, let me finish. Told you I'm squirrely, okay? After this, now let's say you put the 7th item into this box. Okay, it puts you over this 5 pound threshold. The only thing that changes is that Whatnot toggles this flat rate option on for you now inside of your labels. And so you have to go in there and pick which flat rate box you're going to use, okay? That's the only thing that changes as far as what Whatnot is doing, creating the label for you. So, and up to 70 pounds, it's already paid for. Once you cross that 1 pound threshold on that second item, until you've reached 70 pounds or the large flat rate box is completely full, shipping is covered, okay? So, so the idea behind that is, there's 2 caveats. One is, well, what happens when the buyer buys so much stuff that it won't fit into a large flat rate? Well, and that's when you as the seller, would absorb that cost, because when you think about, well, that's a lot of stuff somebody purchased. They spent that much money with me, okay? Having reduced shipping got this many more viewers into my stream, retained this many more buyers. It's business smart to pay that overage. If you find that you're doing that excessively, then something's not set up right, or you fall into the 2% of sellers on this app that should not run reduced shipping. Usually the people who don't fall into that category are either people who sell inexpensive, bulky items. That's the main one, okay? If you are selling used kids' jackets for $5 a piece, you should not be doing, and that's all you sell ever is used kids' puffer jackets or used adults' puffer jackets for $5 or $10 each, you should not be doing reduced shipping. If you're selling one here and there, you should still be doing reduced shipping. This is just if you collectively sell something that is inexpensive and takes up a lot of space, this doesn't really work for you. Everybody else should follow this the reduced shipping hack though. Okay, and then the other caveat is, what if someone buys one item and it weighs more than a pound? Okay, because we're telling Whatnot, if it only weighs one item, I didn't even put that on here, but it should say, right, it's not an option that you have to pick in your settings, but Whatnot automatically chooses for you that if it's less than a pound, it goes ground advantage, okay? So if it's less than a pound, which is just one item, the way that we set our show up, well, what if this one item is actually weighs 4 pounds, let's say, okay? Well, that's the one time and the one time only that you're gonna have to adjust a label to where it's gonna, like when you put it in, when you go back in there and you say, okay, it's actually not 11 ounces, Whatnot, it actually came up to 4 pounds, and then you hit save the edit for that package, it's gonna pop up and say, oh, well, you didn't pay enough money on the front end, you still owe us this amount of money. Because when you upgrade from ground advantage, which we told them the label was gonna be, to priority, because it's actually over 1 pound, there's a price difference here, okay? And we didn't tell Whatnot to make this label ahead of time. We told them to make this label. So we have to cover the difference in cost right here, okay? That is usually, that happens to me maybe, like I never come out of pocket for shipping, very, very rarely, outside of my 5, what are they called? Adjustments. So, I mean, and I sell thousands of items a week. So I would say it probably happens once every couple shows, or a lot of times you'll find that it comes in waves. So like I'll have a show where something I'm selling is something niche and heavy. Like for example, I sold these bolts of interfacing the other day, and so it's basically this size and weighs this much. And some people in my show only bought those bolts, and so I had like 3 or 4 people that had a package that was one item. But it was over a pound, even though I told them Whatnot it was 11 ounces, right? So I had to adjust those. However, I would have never done that unless I was making enough profit on this item and it was an expensive enough item that made it worth me paying those $3 or $4 in the adjustment. So like I was selling the bolts of interfacing for like 25 bucks. So, and I mean, it was made business sense for me to eat that $3 or $4 cost and still offer reduced shipping. So does that make sense? Okay, let me go. Hey, Maddox, what's up? Okay, so all my shipping should just be 11 to 15 ounces unless I know it's an item over 5 pounds. No. If you're doing it my way, all of your items should be set to 8 to 11 ounces. And it doesn't matter if it's over 5 pounds. Hey, thank you so much for the raid. Every single thing in your show should just run under the same item. Hey, how are you? Happy New Year. Let's see. I just want to catch up. I'm sorry, guys. It's a listing for people to bookmark. Yeah. Can you hold that up again? Oh, yeah, we did that. Okay, Tiffany, did I answer your question, or do you still have a question?